We are in fucking Hollywood, man!
Hello, welcome to the 404 Films podcast, and today I am joined once again by the one and only Glen Byrne.
Can we add in Sharon, please?
Yeah. No, I'm going to just do crickets now for that.
Thanks very much.
Glen Byrne. What are we talking about on this fine Paddy's Day? Technically, it's not Paddy's Day, but this will hopefully be out. Knowing my luck, it won't be on Paddy's Day, but hopefully this will be out on Paddy's Day, and the only way we know how to celebrate Paddy's Day, really, especially now in this lockdown, is by watching the first episode of Season 3 of Love Hate.
Yeah.
Now, I would like to think that people are like, what the fuck, that's weird. I've already talked about weirder stuff, I think, on this podcast, but the reason why is because we're both big Love Hate fans.
Oh yeah. We both kind of watched it as it was coming out, even though we were underage at the time. But...
Yeah, I mean, it's a TV show, though. It's not like fucking hardcore drugs or pornography. Well,
well, there's both drugs and... Sure, we won't go there.
We're both very big fans of the show. So, we're going to talk briefly about the show and stuff, but I'm not going to spend all our time talking just about the entirety of the show. All we want to do is talk about this one episode, and the reason why is because it's set at Paddy's Day.
Yeah.
There's probably tons of stuff that I could have done, but what comes to mind when people think let's do a Paddy's Day episode of like a podcast or a film show? That was a question.
Are you testing me? Well,
yeah.
I would assume the first episode of season 3 of Love Hate comes to everyone's mind. Would it not?
Yeah, I'd hope so. Maybe it will now. Maybe it'll be grained into everyone's head. But the first thing that comes to everybody's mind, I think, or at least people who are more into genre cinema like me, would be the Leprechaun movie. And you know what? I'm okay with not covering the Leprechaun movie. The Field. We could have talked about The Field as well.
Oh yeah.
But that's also depressing. Now this is pretty depressing too, but this is disturbing. Okay, so some warnings ahead, because this is not a pleasant episode. Even though I find it to be very funny as well. There's some very, very funny moments in this episode. Like some intentional, some unintentional. But I guess everyone, we're having some drinks. Hopefully you're drinking too if this is on Paddy's Day. If it's just the Tuesday after Paddy's Day or the Wednesday after Paddy's Day, sure, fuck it, have a drink as well. Why not? For anyone that doesn't know what it is, if you're not from Ireland, because anyone who's from Ireland would know what it's about. It's RTE crime series that ran for 5 years that followed a bunch of Dublin gangsters. I think that's all the setup you need, really.
Pretty
Any
much,
specifics?
Yeah. Drug dealers.
Good show for the most of it. I think season 3 is the best season, and I think it kind of went a little downhill after season 3. But season 3 to me is like perfect in a way. Like, it's like a movie. It feels like something you'd see in Breaking Bad or something. Well, not exactly that, because it has the IRA and everything in it, you know.
Yeah.
But to that quality in a way.
Yeah, and
that's a bold statement.
I think season 3 can nearly be taken separate from the rest of the seasons as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the other seasons tie into it and all good parts like throughout, but I think season 3 can almost stand alone as its own perfect little thing. Like,
yeah, even thinking about it now, you could probably watch it without watching, when you say standalone, but you really could get away with not watching season 1 or 2. Or forget about the rest of them, but you could genuinely, there's not many factors that bleed over from the other season that they don't tell you immediately in this first episode and throughout the series. Like, even things like, if you look at Killian Scott's character, Tommy, his whole side plot of him and the character Debbie, who's a prostitute, you clearly know what's going on there in the first episode of season 3. He walks into a brothel, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'd watched season 3 before watching the other 2 seasons. I think I seen season 1 back when
really?
when it came out. Yeah, and I'd forgotten. Like I didn't see season 2 till after the fact. I
Really, I
almost
think season
started
two
with
is
season
quite
3.
good.
Yeah, no, I went back retrospectively and watched it, but like I started with season 3, and like it was standalone enough that like you can just watch it in isolation without the other seasons, I think.
If you miss season two, though, like you're missing Aidan Gillen and his weird Irish American accent, where it goes from being, I don't mean like an Irish American, I mean that it goes from being Irish to very American, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
That's them taking my car. I think it works though. I really like it, but
yeah,
it's so weird.
yeah. I mean, he's so mad for the accents. Like you can tell in Game of Thrones and everything that his accent varies so much. But like,
Yeah.
I thought for an Irish lad, I never heard someone so American in an Irish show. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
he
yeah. If you
was American.
American first,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. For this episode though, I just think it perfectly sums up the entire season. Like it's one of those, so unlike Breaking Bad, where like it's constantly like you need to watch every episode, that everything bleeds into one another, even the seasons. Well, a lot of other TV shows, this included, will set up the season in the first episode to be like, here's the new antagonist, here's the new love interests. There you go. You'll get that for a season. Maybe it'll continue on to the next seasons, but boom, we're kind of starting off new. And I think it works a lot in this season though, because coming from season 2, okay, this is going to actually spoil so much as well if people haven't seen it, but it's a change in leadership. Nidge is now in charge of everybody. Nidge, the Tom Von Lawler, Ebony Maw, anyone that doesn't know, you know. I like him a lot. I think he's a fucking great actor,
yeah,
but seeing him be in the two highest grossing movies of all time. You know, I was watching Endgame and watching Infinity War, doing my little, you know, proud Irishman, just like,
I like a single
you
tear.
did it, man. You did it. I know he was very cool in that though. He's a very cool character. But I think this, like, it just, he's taken over, and it's basically him being the new kingpin of this particular gang of gangsters and his pitfalls. And I think there was some issues going forward as well with this season, but I'll talk about that later. I think this season, to me anyway, after the season played, was when I got into the show. So I didn't watch it first. Everyone was talking about it. I felt like when the third season rolled around, everyone kept talking about the show. Like you couldn't go anywhere with people not talking about it. It's like, I remember going into school and somebody being like, "Did you see your woman get punched in the face last night?" You know, when she was walking her kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I think they're talking about Love Hate. So I got into it after that, watched it all, and then started watching the next two seasons, you know, on TV with everyone else. This season, I think, really grabbed everybody because it was so good. This is the one that, like, huge big spoilers, like the end of the season, characters die and everything like that. But this was definitely the standout for everyone. I don't think just me. I think I don't know. I think it's kind of like a general idea that this is the standout season.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the peak of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And what came before it was good. I mean, to touch on it quick, like briefly. Season 1 was like almost a little taster of, oh look at this, what can we do?
Yeah, it felt like it was kind of cliched though, in the sense to be like, it was very good, but it was like, I think the appeal of it, or the selling point was like, oh, you've never seen an Irish thing like this. You've never seen these kind of gangster kind of
Yeah,
tropes, but set in Ireland. And then it kind of became its own in season 2, which is really good.
yeah. It also, I mean, because it's on Irish television,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like season 1 was also kind of hamstring with the whole, oh, by the way, drugs are bad kind of stuff, you know?
I think that goes in. We'll talk about that as it goes on. I still think that the show kind of toes the line in regards to glorification,
Hmm.
almost like a glorification. And I have a theory of why, and I don't think it was ever intended, but it just feels like the way that the show was going, like, you know, one of the big things as well, because it's Irish. On that note, you have people playing the game. I've been there. I know why they shot that. That's Blanchardstown.
I mean
That looks good,
like
you know.
that's something good about the show that like, I've been to places that it's set in, and it adds to the realism of it,
Yeah,
you know?
no, I think so. Like the same thing happened with normal people. You know, they're
Yeah,
in Trinity. It's like, oh, he's in Trinity. You know.
yeah,
So that was nice, but I do think that stuff can run like, or get old very quickly. And if you're sitting there watching it with somebody who's like, I believe they filmed that in the. It's just like, shut up. You know what I mean? Just watch the fucking thing, you know?
Yeah.
But it was a big deal when it came out, though, because I don't think that any, like, not a TV show being like this before, you know? And it was very stylized and everything, so I guess credit to it. I guess credit to RTE for making it as well, you know?
Yeah, it seems like I feel like RT don't do much, and they haven't done anything like Love Hate since then, really.
I think they had substitutes for it, and I remember not liking it, whatever the substitute that they had in place. And I think they've made on other crime dramas, and I think they're gearing up to do another one. But it's weird that RTE were kind of the driving force. Now there was other companies involved, but this is very much RTE, you know, made for RTE.
Yeah.
Kind of on that note, so I saw this originally. I watched it first, and then I ended up buying the first 3 seasons on DVD. And I was doing a rewatch of them, and I'm watching them, and I'm like, this seems really different. What's different about this? And then I realized, wait, there's no soundtrack. All of the songs that are in it are different. Now, some of them can still be songs, you know, from pop culture, but they're never the same songs that were in the TV broadcasts. Yeah. So there's a thing with RTE, or just the licensing of it. You can watch all these on the RT player as well, but they have a different soundtrack for when you watch them on TV, for when you watch them at home on a DVD. So they have, I guess, no holds bar, unlimited resources for the ones they show on TV, because you have fucking everything in there. Yeah. You have like Guns N' Roses, you have AC/DC, I think.
Led
you
Zeppelin,
just have tons of shit, you know. Yeah, Jimi Hendrix. And some of the music cues are so good on TV.
Yeah.
And then when you go to watch them on the DVD, they're just they've just got this shitty little stock music even put in. They don't even have a good substitute song put in. So there's moments just to go into the episode. They have moments that just completely change the tone. And the opening of this episode is this. They love their quick cutting.
Their footage for the Irish tour sport, it feels like, cut in with some drug dealing on the side.
A guy holding a camera out of a car, and then it's like, oh, watch out, speed bump. It's just like the camera's fucking going everywhere. But I think it adds kind of to the grittiness, because it's like almost like a very realistic or like realism type genre of filmmaking. You know, it's never on a set. It's one camera. It's all real locations. But I feel like the editing is what takes it out of the realism genre, because it's so like choppy and everything. So it loves its kind of montages, but it opens up with a montage of Nidge and his like new secured house with all the security cameras and all the drug dealings going on around the city and how it leads up to him and how the money gets to him. But they have what song do they have on the TV broadcast on the RTE player, which is the one that me and you watched for this episode?
Yeah, it's Black Dog by Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, and then
Led Zeppelin, right?
I think so. I'll change it if not, and just have my voice come in over it. I when I saw this and I kind of associated it with the one on the DVD, it was Rocky Road to Dublin.
Which also works, to be fair, because it's flips to Dublin.
I think it's better. I think it's far better, and the reason why I think it's better is, first of all, it was the association that I always thought it was Rocky Road to Dublin. Like watching it with Black Dog, it felt more like, yeah, look at Nidge, man, you know, Nidge, yeah. But with Rocky Road to Dublin, it was more like this impending doom, that it was just like, fuck, you know what I mean? Like, this is really heavy. Like, this is some really deep shit that they're in now, and he's got security everywhere, and he's got these big gates on his house and on the security cams and everything. So it really changed the tone just with a piece of music. Because when it's Black Dog, it's just, you know, like drug dealing, man. It's fantastic, you know?
Yeah. I remember talking to you about the opening of the third season way back when. And just being like, oh, I love the song that they play, like Black Dog, and I remember you being like, no, it's Rocky Road to Dublin, because like I had only seen, I think I had it recorded on the Skybox or something, and I just watched that, and it was Black Dog on like live on RTE. So I remember like I like Black Dog with it. I do think it works. I think Rocky Road to Dublin works as well, but
Yeah,
I don't know which one's better necessarily. But
I think they're all very different. I think they created different tones, and I don't know what the intention of the creators were of what kind of idea they were trying to convey with this. I will say that when we were talking about it, I remember it was
I
a
can only
much
presume that they were going for Black Dog, and then they just could not license it for the DVDs.
that could be true. Yeah, that could be true. I remember it was a very heated debate though when we didn't know that it was like no, 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 it's definitely Rocky Road,
Yeah.
and it got to the point where I think another Paddy's Day. I don't know if it was actually Paddy's Day, but it was like I had the DVD and I was like, okay, let's sit down, and let's watch this. And of course, I was right, but it wasn't really much of a victory.
You
You were
weren't
right
right
too.
though.
Yeah, I think there was as well going in the running for it. It was that it was like, did it open with "Welcome to the Jungle"? Because
That's in season 2, yeah.
yeah, in season 2, and I think that's how the season ends because he mentions it. When he dies, play "Welcome to the Jungle" at his funeral. I think this is the best episode of the entire series. If you could watch, as you said, the whole series is standalone, and it is, and it's only like 6 hours, so it's everyone watches shit on Netflix now, so it's easy. It should really be up on Netflix, I think. I don't know why, but then again, if it was on Netflix, I don't think they'd have the rights to use any of the music, so we probably end up getting the kind of diluted DVD version. If you say season 3 can be watched as a standalone, I think episode 1 of this season can be watched, and like if you can only watch one episode of this, like for some reason, I think watch this one,
Yeah.
and then just leave it. I remember we showed it to two of our friends, and one of them was like, wow, like I'd never seen another episode of this, and was like, this is really interesting. I will watch this. And then the other one came in like, I hate this show. I'm not gonna watch this show. I don't want to watch this show. We showed it to him. Yeah, I hate this show. I don't want to watch this show. And it was pretty much. I think we turned around and was just like, I know you didn't like it, but we really wanted to watch it, and you were here at the time. We never intended for you to like it. It was just kind of a lie that we could rewatch it again.
Like the thing is, but before they played the little opening tune with the Irish Tourism Board advertisement, they have the opening scene of the camera shot looking up at the kind of three main
Oh
characters
yeah,
before the intro, like.
yeah.
And I remember, I feel like it sets the tone for the whole episode. And I remember being
It's for
so
the whole
like,
season.
yeah, whole season. I think it's so well done.
So you're gonna be all right?
What am I, a bleeding doctor? You get inside, will you? This is all your fault.
It's only 6 episodes, so it sets up the whole premise for that series, or what sets it in motion. You know what I mean? They murder somebody, and then it's about them covering up the murder. But I thought that was real Breaking Bad. I was about to say Breaking Bad-esque, but I don't know. It's something like Breaking Bad would do, where it does the jump forward. It's out of context.
Yeah,
you don't know what it's
the
about.
cold open.
It's
Yeah.
just to get people.
I mean,
yeah.
I feel like this was inspired by Breaking Bad a good bit.
Oh, totally. And The Sopranos.
Yeah, because I do remember, like, it's a later episode in the season. They open with, it's Debbie the prostitute, or sex worker, I believe it's supposed to be said. Debbie the sex worker.
Very good.
It has an opening of like her grim life set to Angel of the Morning,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's taken
Yeah,
directly
she's-
from when they play
For
Wendy
sure.
for
Yeah, definitely.
Wendy, yeah, in Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I didn't even make that comparison. Yeah, no, definitely. Because I remember more just being like disturbed by the one in Love Hate, and the one in Breaking Bad. You kind of get caught up in the rhythm, and you just like,
Yeah,
it's
it's almost played for
like
for comedy in Breaking Bad, but I feel like it's just more depressing in Love Hate.
Yeah, I think so. Because it is pretty graphic in Love Hate, because Love Hate is like HBO levels of we don't give a fuck, we can show anything, and you'll soon know it all because of this episode here that we're talking
Which is
about.
amazing for
But-
RTE, I think, to be fair as well.
Yeah, no, fair play to them. There was obviously this huge commotion. Did Barry Keoghan really kill that cat?
Season 4,
didn't.
isn't it? I
was
remember
very
seeing,
fake,
I remember
yeah.
seeing that in the paper. Did he kill the cat? And all the outrage.
They had to get the cat on the Late Late Show. Like it was just like, what did you like? The effect looked bad as
Yeah,
well. Like
yeah.
it was clearly fucking a CGI blood coming out of this cat. You know. Why would they have killed the cat? Why would Barry Keoghan, the actor who's been in other things prior to Love Hate, I know he wasn't as well known, but still was in things, why would they have just shot and let him
Well,
shoot the
the thing
cat?
is, I haven't seen Barry Keoghan in much stuff. I've seen him in Love Hate, and I've seen him in Chernobyl. And in Chernobyl,
Hmm.
I don't want to spoil any spoiler for
He
Chernobyl.
kills more
But yeah,
animals, doesn't he?
he goes around shooting
Yeah.
all the dogs so that they don't irradiate anything. So to me,
What's
Barry
the other
Keoghan
movie
is
he's in?
just and
He's in the other movie, Killing of a Sacred Deer. He just loves killing animals, man.
a monster.
He just loves American Animals. That's the other movie he's in America. I mean, he doesn't kill any animals. He doesn't punch any fucking flamingos to death in that movie. But the cast of the show is fucking amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you've Robert Sheehan, Tom Von Lawler is fantastic in it. Aidan Gillen was in it up
Yeah,
to the end of season 2. Um,
Charlie Murphy, amazing.
yeah, she's in
Peaky
Peaky
Blinders.
Blinders as well. Yeah,
Yeah, not Eddie Murphy's brother. That will probably come. He will probably come up when you Google
yeah.
Charlie Murphy. I'm not sure. I remember back in the day when I was googling the show, she wasn't in Peaky Blinders, so I don't think she is well known. So like every time I
Eddie
was just like,
Murphy's.
well, that's definitely not Siobhan
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Love Hate.
Eddie
You know,
Murphy's brother playing Siobhan.
Killian Scott, Lawrence Kinlan, Peter
Peter
Coonan.
Coonan he's fantastic in it.
But then like you have other people who are only in this season that are fucking great, man.
Jimmy
They're
Smallhorn
so good.
in particular.
I fucking love Jimmy Smallhorn
Fantastic.
because he's only in. Again, I don't wanna spoil it
Well, we're gonna
because we're
eventually,
gonna
yeah.
get there. We'll spoil it later, but he's only in this episode, and he just sets the tone and everything up for the rest of the episode. He's so good in this
Yeah.
first. Oh man, I loved him in this. You met him.
I did meet the man. Yeah, yeah. I think my sister was auditioning for something, and he was like doing the auditions, and like shook the man's hand and everything, and he was like, "Oh, you might remember me from such films as whatever," and he was listing off a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen your face. I must have seen one of them things. He did not mention his his appearance in Love Hate, and I think it was later on, maybe a week or two, a couple of weeks after, I seen the credits of Love Hate season 3 episode 1. I was like, fuck, it's him. And you know what? No wonder
Yeah.
why he didn't mention he was in that.
Yeah. Especially because you were a kid at the time, like you know.
Yeah.
So you also met Donna, who is the woman who runs the.
No. It's Janet.
Not Donna, Janet. Yeah, sorry. Donna is the friend of Siobhan, who gets so much abuse throughout the show. But yeah, Janet is. Well, Janet gets abused
Yeah,
too.
yeah. She's in it a bit longer as well. She's in the last 2 seasons, isn't she? But yeah, no, I mean, like my sister did drama, and Janet, the
brothel,
brothel runner
woman.
manager, was her teacher. So there you go.
That's cool.
She's great in it as well.
Yeah, she gets a much bigger part in the next
Mhm.
few seasons. Sean McGinley shows up in it, and he would be more well known for like Irish movies and as an Irish actor. So I feel like when he showed up for people, because I wouldn't have been as aware of him back then as I am now, but the way they kind of built up his character, I felt like they did it knowing that he was a familiar face to a lot of people watching the show, or like people who'd be like, it's your man. But the way they build up his character is very kind of like ominous. Where it's like, where does he go? He goes up to
Does he go to Drogheda or Dundalk?
yeah,
In Loud, anyway.
yeah. He goes to one of them, and that's like it's this big kind of like ominous music playing and stuff. And he looks very unassuming, but he is a fucking good character, very scary character as well as it kind of goes on. But like that real kind of calm, cool kind of demeanor. So you know he's fairly sinister behind it all. When somebody is very calm, you know they're evil. But then like as well, Jason Barry, who plays Dano, which he's a big role in Titanic. But I was watching for the more genre cinema thing. I was watching Beyond Reanimator, an American splatter movie. It's the third one of a trilogy. It's the one I think I showed it to you once. I talked about it in a previous episode, but Jason Barry is the main character of the third one of those movies, and I was shocked because I remember catching it on TV once and shocked to see. I was like, oh, that's Dano. You know what I mean? So it's a cool little when two worlds kind of collide there. an amazing cast going forward. It only got stronger and stronger as it kept going on. There was other actors that came into the fold and bizarre cameos by people too, like the fella from Boyzone or something. I don't know his name, but he was in an episode, I think, in season 4, wasn't he?
Fella from Boyzone, Shane Lynch.
Boyzone or Westlife, it's one of them, but he's in a gym or something, and they're selling him steroids. So the premise of the episode basically is Nage is in charge, and the IRA are coming to extort him for money and to bring in guns and everything. And it's basically one misunderstanding after another that leads to a murder. But I think it's so good to have this episode set at Paddy's Day, because it creates, first of all, to have the IRA introduced on Paddy's Day, I just think it's great, because everyone can talk about Ireland without it being too kind of cheesy with the dialogue. You know, they can be very forward about it and everything, but it just kind of sets up the kind of, I know it's an Irish show, but the mad kind of Irish vibe that this season gives out. I think this season's so popular as well because this show as well, it's Robert Sheen's show at the start.
Yeah.
And again, spoiler alert, he doesn't make it all the way through. So when they killed him off at the end, this is his season. This is when he took a turn
definitely
for the worse. So he's basically just another bad guy. In the first 2 seasons, they tried to make it out that, he's not really like them. He was your point. It was like the audience's point of reference, and then he got worse and worse. So like he never did drugs prior. Now he's doing loads of coke, and he kills people on the second season. Now he's killed multiple people by this. Like he's Ninja's go-to guy for anything, and including killing people and making pipe bombs and everything. So just like on a note of the whole show, I think when he left and Nidge became the main character, they very much tried to make it out that it was like, well, Nidge was always the main character. And it's like, no, he wasn't. That's not the case. It wasn't even an ensemble kind of cast of people. It was Darren's show. Darren was the main character, and when he's gone, fair enough, we'll move on. And Nidge was an interesting point of reference, but he's an asshole. Like Nidge is a fucking dickhead. Like he's throughout the movie, he's just a fucking arsehole. Like
he's much harder to sympathize with. Whereas I feel like Robert Sheen's character is so much easier to sympathize with, especially if you've watched the first 2 seasons. But even if you haven't, the way it follows him, like you sympathize with him entirely. And then there's a good point at the end of the season where they Nidge points out basically Darren's involvement in the whole thing, and you kind of look back and go, oh yeah, he kind of started all of this and he was involved throughout it, I suppose.
Yeah, he's really to blame. So it's like, just again, I'm going to set the episode up very quickly. They're being extorted by the IRA, but there's this understanding between the both of them. And one of Nidge's associates gets kneecapped by Jimmy Smallhorn's character, who is an IRA captain,
it's
or whatever.
By Dano, I think.
Jimmy Smallhorn's son, though. Does it, yeah, with the Breaking Bad twins. the Irish equivalent of the Breaking Bad twins, which is just 2 brothers that look very, very similar, that are in the IRA with them. But that leads Darren to get revenge by blowing up Dano's car, which makes Nidge and Jimmy Smallhorn's character, Git Lockman. Very good name as well for a character. That makes Nidge and Git and Dano go out on Paddy's Day to kind of mend that relationship. And so that he can extort him even more, he can start bringing in guns.
Yeah. The Rab basically want to exploit him throughout it, and
they're already getting money from him, but it was like a miscommunication that Dano kneecaps Ado, the character of Ado. And there's this really good scene when Darren goes in to see Ado in the hospital, and he's like, water, give me water, and he gives him the water. But all I could think of was the scene of Father Ted. Yeah, Father Ted and Father Jack was like, water, more water in the fucking wet t-shirt competition. Yeah,
I thought that exactly.
So funny, but
I thought that particular thing was interesting because just before that, after Ado gets kneecapped, Nidge has to meet with Git to try sort out why did this happen.
Yeah,
and Nidge is kind of full on with Git, saying this shouldn't have happened, and Git makes him back down, and then Nidge is talking to Darren, And like I had to write it down. He literally mentions Ado. He's just a flesh wound.
What about Ado? Well, he's a flesh wound, you know, so at least he'll walk again, won't he?
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know. And then Darren
Aren't
is
you gonna go see him in the hospital?
yeah,
You
yeah,
go.
yeah. You go. So Darren is the one that goes and sees him,
Mhm.
and like that's why I feel like Darren was motivated to like. Darren ends up throwing a pipe bomb at Dano's car, nearly killing Dano, which kind of gets the ball rolling on the whole thing. Originally, when I first watched that, I remember my mom was recording it on like the Skybox, and I think you can only record one or two things at a time. And I tried to record something else, and it fucked up the recording of Love Hate. And then when I went back to watch Love Hate, it had skipped a chunk, and I didn't know that Darren was the one that made and threw the pipe bomb.
Oh,
It
really?
just
So
yeah
you were
yeah it
in a mystery of it.
yeah yeah
So
it just
you were as confused as Nage was throughout the,
yeah
Very cool effect in it, and they've got some really good effects. I think the effects in the seasons 1 and 2, and then 4 and 5 are so. But the effects in this season, they go all out with explosions, with squibs, with fucking AK-47s. Like, I'm not sure the actor who plays Ado, but he really sells getting kneecapped. That's a gross fucking scene.
yeah.
And then the car blowing up is a cool like practical effect where they actually blew up a car for real. So it was a very like visceral kind of thing that was going on. There's a great subplot as well that to set it up as well. Killian Scott's character Tommy, who is just like, I don't get his character that much. I like his character a lot. He is kind of a more innocent guy, but he's more of just like, he does a lot of drugs and he has sex with everybody. Like, he has no filter. Even to the point, like, later in the show, when I think he gets brain damage from getting his head beaten in, he just flashes people on the street. It's kind of like this built-in thing with him. But he's going out with Nidge's niece. Or is married to Nidge's niece, who they have a kid and stuff. But he's also in love. Yeah, he's in love with a prostitute called Debbie that works and lives in the brothel that Nidge runs.
I have a point to say about that, actually.
Because I've got a point written down here, but it's probably not as important as your point.
Oh, my point is much more important. How can they run a brothel in central Dublin? I think they would get a lot more money if they just rented out all of them rooms and be landlords in central Dublin.
Is that your hot take of trying to be political on this?
Yeah, a bit of satire in there, yeah.
On a, I was about to say on a serious note, but mine's not serious. But and to answer your question about a fictitious character or a fictitious situation, rather than that real world situation you brought up, I think they're probably posing as something else, like an escort service or something legal, but it's very much a brothel when you see it, you know what I mean? All the flashing lights. But my point, which actually is more important than your point, if I'm being honest, the Debbie character brings up having sex with a leprechaun, that they got two dwarves, that's what her words, not mine, two prostitute dwarves in to have sex on Paddy's Day.
Yeah.
If you want to fuck, and the best line is the best part of that. She says, "If you want to fuck a leprechaun, it was Nidge's idea."
I even have two dwarf girls in from Liverpool. If you want to fuck a leprechaun,
Who wants to fuck a leprechaun?
it's Nidge's idea.
And I just love that Nidge is there now that Nidge is the boss, being like, "Oh, we've got to get some people. Yeah, we've got to get some leprechauns in here. That'll really make us money, you know." Just that he always like he's at home coming up with ideas to get like more money into the brothel, more kind of like hot takes, you know.
I love that. He's sold as a big drug dealer, head honcho, but like really, he's just a smart businessman coming up with ideas. Like, he's an entrepreneur, really.
He likes to have fun. He likes to have fun. The Fran character as well. This really marked the change in Fran's character. Only introduced in the second season. Fran is played by Peter Coonan. He'd be the most quotable or quoted next to Nidge in the entire show. But this really marks a complete change in his character, even to the point where he's the antagonist in season 2.
Yep.
And in season 3, he becomes a lot more comic. Not even comic relief, but just more comical. And what's interesting is that him and Nidge join forces and they make an alliance, and he works for Nidge. But then they kind of made him, trying to make him back into a cynical, very kind of sinister character in the next few seasons, and I don't think it worked after going from this season because he's very like he actually skips at one point, doesn't he? Skip up and clap it like
at the end of it, yeah.
Man, he's fucking great in this show and in this episode, but he does probably a lot of his most memorable stuff in this season. You know, with he shaves somebody's head at one point.
Yeah.
There's just other funny things that I had to like write down when I was rewatching this episode that I'll try to keep everyone informed as I go along, but like there's this big work outing with all the drug dealers at a Chinese restaurant on Paddy's Day that I love because you're looking at the shot where I was, and I was like a who's who of the other characters. So I was just like, who organized this big group outing? Fucking hilarious show for quotes though. Like, it's so quotable to the point that we've had in our group of friends quotes going back and forth that people wouldn't be as main. You know, people always quote, you know, Kula Bula. It's what, you know, the happy days, the universe, all said by Peter Coonan. But there's quotes that we kept saying in our group of friends that people wouldn't have gotten, but it's like...
And this is Linda. I'm speaking to you from beyond the grave, you bleeding thicko. Nidgy was giving it to me up the guitar, Fran, and I loved it.
That became like a running joke, which it shouldn't have been, you know what I mean? But it was a running joke for ages, and then
Yeah, bleeding moocher.
Yeah, bleeding moocher.
Yeah, the way Lawrence Kinley says that, it just stuck with us. So he just kept saying it. So it's very quotable. But the show has really, really good moments of comedy. Jimmy Smallhorn, Nidge, and Dano, or I should call him by his name, Git, or his character's name, Git, get really drunk on Paddy's Day, and they have to bring Dano home. And as sinister as Jimmy Smallhorn is throughout the episode, he's like, "Oh yeah, it's his missus, his daughter, like Git's daughter-in-law." It's like, "Oh yeah, she doesn't like me. She's nuts, you know." And he rings the doorbell, and then when she's showing, I'm just gonna wait in the car. Just
Please me bollocks off out here. She's a head case. Oh, we'll wait in the car, right?
off, you know. It's so funny, you know. There's other great bits too, like I'll bring them up as I get there, but it ends basically in their bar, and Nidge is there with Siobhan, who's Charlie Murphy's character, Tommy, Darren, and Git Lockman. And this is when shit gets nasty.
Yeah.
So again, other quotable lines, you know. I'll take a line if I was offered, you know. It's Paddy's Day, things are different. There's this thing going through it as well when Git has his first meeting with Nidge, that there's this intimidation that he has over Nidge of like, if you want to make a big deal you can, but it's not going to go anywhere. And Nidge even says to Darren, "What are we going to do, take them on?" It's like
taking on an army. Yeah.
Which was a fucking... RTE had this amazing ad going for season 3. It was the whole of season 3 cut up, and they used that line. It's like taking on an army. But they had Lana Del Rey's Born to Die playing over it. It's a very good trailer. It like really gets you hyped for it. There was this kind of thing though between... Like, even when Git's there with his son, he turns around and says, like, the minute Nidge turns his back, "Oh, he's an idiot. He's a very useful idiot, though, but we can use him." Like, his dog.
I think it's key with his disdain for the drug dealers. I think he refers to them as toy soldiers, and like
jumped up little soldiers. I wouldn't piss on them.
Yeah, wouldn't piss on them, and like they're all scumbags. Like even like when Ado gets kneecapped, he was like, well, they're all scumbags, but this one wasn't to be touched. Yeah.
They're all scumbags, Daniel. Greedy, jumped-up little toy soldiers. No ethics, believing nothing mortals. I wouldn't piss on them, but this one was not to be touched.
That's what I mean, that like why I like Jimmy Smallhorn so much in this. He has so many moments where he just loses his shit throughout it. Where he, like, it's so good though, where he's just like, yeah, like, can you get me all the stuff that I asked for? Yeah, no, and like both of them they're in the brothel, and they're both having Nidge and him are having sex side by side, and it's just like, yeah, I'll get you whatever you want, you know, pills, coke, hash, whatever. And it's just like, that's not what I'm fucking looking for, you know. I'm looking for fucking grenades and fucking AKs. Yeah. Like, don't fucking. Do you think I'm living the high life like you are? You know. There's also a kind of subplot that I really like in the series, that he has these homing pigeons. I think that's what they're, or racing pigeons, whatever they're for. Yeah, there's just a really cool payoff with that, or a sad payoff, I thought, later on in the show. But there's this constant kind of demeaning Nidge that he's an idiot, and
Little Jack Russell Terrier. Yeah.
yeah, as it gets to the pub, as it gets to the bar, Siobhan is there, and she's drunk, and she goes into the back, and then Git follows her out, and he knocks her out in the alley, and he rapes her, and then it's really hard to watch, but I kind of can not condemn. I kind of commend them for that, to make it as realistic as possible, and not like in other TV shows where you've seen it and been like, we just wrote a rape scene in for the sake of it, and we did it off screen, or we did it in a tame way. It's a horrible thing. Show it in a horrible way, and then it's not like they just brushed it off as like, remember that was terrible. That has now significantly changed the Siobhan character for like throughout the entire season. She goes to counseling, and then it changes her throughout the whole show. However, what I will say, there's this really bad trope and stuff where they, in particular TV shows, where they will have the female leads get sexually assaulted for the sake of development. I've seen it in this, I've seen it in Peaky Blinders, I've seen it in Sopranos, I've seen it in Sons of Anarchy. So, you know, I don't know, it's a strange topic, you know what I mean? I think it worked in this show though. I think it was done really appropriately in the sense of how they dealt with it. It wasn't, again, like brushed off. Like the way she describes it as the show goes forward is really disturbing and really just realistic. You know what I mean? It's just not like other shows where they just, you know, we kind of got bored about writing that, you know, so we moved on, and they got over it, and isn't it great? You know, you don't really, you know, it just was like woven into the character rather than the writers got bored about writing it. You know, that kind of thing, that subplot.
I mean, I feel like it was brave of them to put it on RT, because like that kind of stuff doesn't go on RT, you know. And like, I liked how it was followed up like repeatedly, and it also kind of, it showed other characters reacting to it, and I think it told a lot about them characters. Like Nige in particular is like, yeah, you had an awful fight, but it's over now. It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, like Nige is like, this is, I wrote a note specifically saying Nige is a dickhead. Like, how does any, like, he's such a fucking arsehole. Like, it's like, he's very quotable, and he's like a really interesting character to watch and follow along. But how anyone can be like, yeah, Nige, you know, go for it, man, you know? He's such a fucking dickhead throughout the show, and in particular, that's his niece. So he's like, immediately his first reaction is, do you want to go to prison?
Yeah.
Do you want to go to prison?
If you talk, we're all
talk,
dead,
you know?
yeah. I was going to say at one point, it highlights Tommy and Siobhan's like straining relationship at one point, because I think she had found messages of Debbie on Tommy's phone and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good line as well with Donna, where it's like, you might want to get yourself tested, you know, because she's a junkie.
The dirty bitch.
A dirty bitch. You know, the way she says dirty bitch is so fucking funny.
And then, so that's like kind of their straining relationship. And then I feel like that plays into it later on when like she decides just to get fucked on Paddy's Day and stuff. And then Tommy's there saying, go on home with Trish or whatever. And she's like, no, I want to enjoy myself kind of stuff. And then like,
she wants to enjoy herself, but he also, like, she's doing it to get like a reaction out of him. But it's also like she said at one point, I'll just go out like with my mates if this is the case. And he's like, no, stay here. You know what I mean? So, you know, he you know, they're all very unlikable characters, bar her. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? She seemed, because she was a kid when the show started.
Like 19 or something.
She's like underage.
She has her 21st birthday in the season.
Yeah, wasn't she underage though in the first season?
17, 18.
Tommy gets with her. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, sorry, we're leaving out kind of the, just to fill in the blank there. Tommy comes in and sees this, and he kicks Git's head in. And again, I'm gonna, you know, talk about it. The death acting that Jimmy Smallhorn gives with the neck broken, and that's what they're looking down in the opening scene.
Yeah,
that's That's so good, man. Like a chicken with its neck broken but still alive, and he's doing those coughs and everything.
You think his neck broke?
Just really, and they leave him there to have a talk about what they're gonna do.
And then
for like a good 5 minutes, and he's just choking on.
yeah,
the
and then
ground.
it goes back to the first, like the opening scene of the camera angle, and they're over his body.
Yeah, it was a flash.
Yeah,
forward,
which I mean, I love that, because like at the start of it, you're oh shit, what's going on here? But by the time it gets to that, because they've built up the whole, it's like taking on an army kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, oh fuck, it's gonna have consequences. Like, this is big, you know. It sets the scene for the rest of the season. Like,
there is this moment though when they're looking down at him. Nage is giving out to Siobhan, and he's like he's gone through the kind of being really angry to be like, just go inside, you know, you'll be fine. Just don't talk to anyone because we'll all be dead. So it adds to the seriousness. And Tommy leaves as well, and he's giving out to Tommy. But there's this moment, I think, anyway, that when Nage looks down at Git and he's choking. You know, he's still alive at this point, but his neck is broken. He's choking to death. Nage is kind of like, you know, fuck you. I still got one over it. You think I'm not, you know, you think you're better than me, or you think you're smarter than me. And look at you now. I know fear motivates him a lot throughout the season, but I think there was this kind of look that he shared with him on the ground to be like, look at me now, you know, standing over him.
yeah, I think with that though,
I don't know if you...
I more gathered the fear of what does this mean going forward? Like, he spent the whole day trying to butter him up, saying, "Oh, the pipe bomb, that wasn't us," or whatever about it.
But
trying to build a good relationship.
There's no going back now.
Yeah.
There's no going back now. I thought this was just a moment where it's like, this is the point of no return. So it's like to have that one little look to be like, you know, I'll enjoy it while I can. Like, it's a fucking shitstorm and it's a shit show, but like,
yeah,
I did get like I got the best on you, or I got one over on you. You're choking to that.
But you do also see the panic, because what ends up happening is,
oh no, I think it's just a visual one kind of moment
Mhm.
thing that I read from it, but the rest of it is just like, oh fuck, what are we gonna do? And then like as well, after he asks Darren's help, what are we gonna do?
Darren
And
just crushes his head,
with
and then
with a keg. Yeah.
what you going to do that for?
What did you go and do that for?
Well, he wasn't walking out of here on his own, was he?
And that definitely, I think, comes from... Yeah, I definitely think that comes from Darren, though, being like, fuck these guys, we can take these guys, I want revenge. More revenge. And I think that's why he just did that, and it was just... And then he even, like, doubled down. He says, like, why'd you go and do that for? He's like, I was just putting him out of his misery. That's all it was.
He wasn't walking out of here, was he?
I'm right.
Yeah.
Like, it's completely... Darren's fault, like, it's true, like, over and over again, because Nate just like, oh, we just throw him on the road, it was a hit and run. You know, we would have just lied and said it was a hit and run. From there, I think the episode just gets better and better. We left out the bit when Ado's character, not Ado, Elmo, played by Lawrence Kinlan, they get into the fight with Git at the pub. They bump into him, and Git takes the big chunk out of his face because he bites him, and that sets up a big subplot too in the season. But that fight scene, really well choreographed, and I think they have it to jump around. I think it's playing in the background of that scene, is it? Yeah. But that is a good little kind of fight scene in it, you know. Git hits him with the high kick, you know?
Yeah,
kicks him in the chest,
and then bites his face. Yeah,
bites his face. It sets the characters up again though very well. That they're very intimidating and very not to be. Yeah. Okay, so they call on Fran, and my first thought was, I'll call Ned. He has a ladder. I'll call Fran. I'll call Fran. He's got a van, and that's what is it? The Peep Show thing. We can be men with van. So it's basically, I'll call Fran. He's got a van, and we'll get rid of the body. And this enters into a part of like this really enjoyable thing in movies for me and TV shows is when somebody has to get rid of a body. I don't know what it
weird
is,
thing for you to
but
enjoy,
when everyone
but okay.
kind of has to.
Judge.
Oh man, anytime in movies when they do it, like they did it in Breaking Bad multiple times, fucking really entertaining. Even when, like, I'm not gonna spoil a huge big Breaking Bad thing, but in season 2,
at the end of season 2,
the end of season 2, that's more kind of subdued, but or more kind of sad moment, but it's still very cool. And then, like, this episode takes a lot of inspiration from a Sopranos episode called Whoever Did This in season 4, even to the point where they use a digger to bury the body of a certain character. But anything with people getting rid of a body, I always find really entertaining. So much so that I remember in college, in my first year of college, the sound lecturer was talking to us about what short movies we were going to make. And he was like, every year we get so many people making the movie where it's like a body and they have to get rid of the body, and just don't do that. And I was just like, fuck.
I'm gonna do it
That's
anyway.
my idea out the fucking window. Yeah. So they enter kind of this part of the episode where it's just all about them getting rid of Git's body. And, you know, Peter Coonan comes on as Fran as just like a walking quotable.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just a quote, like, he just comes in to spit out quotes that are just all good, though.
I mean, Fran is definitely, I feel like, some comic relief in the show, like in this episode as well, because, like, as well as that, it's cutting in between what the main gang are doing and then what Fran is doing. There's certain music cues as well. I think Fiesta by the Pogues is playing and stuff, and he's just proper enjoying himself.
Yeah,
in the club.
are you a dirt bird or a
like,
lady bird? You know, he's the guy who takes off his shirt at a party.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take off
and
his
then,
top.
like, I think when they eventually call, like when Nidge calls him, I think he's like trying to pull someone or something, and he like, oh, I gotta run, like, and then
well, that's loyalty there. But he doesn't like let them forget that he almost, he was like, she almost had me pulled, but
you're lucky
you're
you had
lucky
the phone
that I had
on.
the phone turned on.
That's what I'm telling you. The universe.
Coola boola, Nidgy. Coola boola. It was a good job I had the phone turned on when you rang me, Nidgy.
Yeah, appreciate it, Fran.
I was with this board, you nearly had me pulled, when you rang. If you left it another 10 minutes, I was gone. Pure blind luck you got me.
Yeah, lucky enough I got you, Fran.
Exactly. That's what I'm always talking about, the universe.
Yeah, that's like, everyone kept quoting that, the universe, and Kula Bula, he says this the first time that it came his quote. To the point where I remember when it was in its height, I'd be going into school and be listening to the my dad would have the radio on in the car, and there was this ad for Skips where it was these two like a guy doing an impression of Nidge and Fran, and it was fucking shit, but it was like them talking about dumping bodies and Skips, and it was just, just a, bad impression, weird ad. But so they show up and they wrap it up in plastic, the body, and they put it in the van to drive it and bury it on Fran's, like, he's got huge amounts of land. Darren's driving the van, they're driving ahead, and they're doing recon. So there's a guard at checkpoint, so Darren can drive off and they drive through it, and that's where the scene is, where it's like, where are you coming from? Oh, I'm just picking this guy up from the airport. It got delayed. It's like, okay, go ahead. So, thanks very much, guard. And then Fran leans over. It's Happy St. Patrick's Day to you too, guard.
And Happy St. Patrick's Day, guard.
The fuck was that?
Was what?
We're true. What do you need to attract attention for?
Relax. What true? Coola boola. Happy days.
My thought process is like, it's Paddy's Day. A guy looks like Nidge pulls up with a guy like Fran next to him. It's just like, okay, can we just breathalyze you? He's been drinking all day. He's been doing lines of coke. His eyes would be as fucking dilated as a fucking.
I mean, the thing is, I think
like,
Fran says in it, like, I would drive the van, but I've had a few, and I was like, they're all
fair play to him. Fair play to him. Now he's like, I'll help you bury the body, but I won't drive.
But they're all they're all gone at that point. Drinking all fucking night.
That's like a thing in media. Like, even earlier, Git is like, oh, we'll go into town, Dano. You'll taxi us, will you? It's like, yeah, sure. It's like, he's drinking just as much as you, but like, I never get that in films and stuff. I mean, I know these guys are criminals, so it's like they don't give a shit, but at the same time, we were talking about it. Everyone just drinks in TV shows and stuff and drives after it. And I guess it's like, who cares? You know what I mean? In regards to a movie, you're not going to be there like, excuse me, he's not allowed drink if he's had a pint, So I don't fucking know. I just think, who cares? But at the same time, I think about it,
I think in the show, they only care to the extent that they might get caught, which I think is fair enough for their characters as well.
I think there's like an oh shit moment with Nidge going through, because he's not going to care if he's done for like a DUI. or whatever, like driving under the influence or whatever. But it's like, it's the fact that he'll be there and there'll be a record of when he's out on Paddy's Day. So it'll tie back into Git's disappearance. And it's all about, the rest of the season is all about the IRA trying to find out what's happened to him. And they set up the Elmo character and stuff like that. So it gets really good, but they get to Fran's land and they bury him. And there's this great moment that I never noticed before of comedy where Fran is like, I'm going to go get the digger. And Nage is standing beside Darren, just outside the car in the dark. It's just like just silence, you know, just complete silence.
It's cold, man.
Yeah.
Won't.
No.
Little moment of small talk where they're just like, yeah.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah.
Do you want a cigarette? Do you? Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no. And then they bury him, and then the best music cue kicks in to the point where I think this is one of the best music cues in any
media history.
Like, it would definitely be in my. I mean, I think it's in my top 10 when 24 Hours from Tulsa starts to play over them after they've buried him. It's them all together. It's everyone that's got affected by Git's death. So it's Git's wife looking at his pigeons. Like, why isn't he home yet? It's the morning. It's Siobhan curled up in a ball, just like, oh, please leave the light off, you know? Because she's completely traumatized. And then it's the three of them. It's Nige, Darren, and Fran. Just being like, I don't know, what are we going to do now? And then it ends with like, oh man, I'm really hungry.
There's an all-day breakfast
really
place up the road.
I'm starving, I need to eat.
There's an all-day breakfast place up the road.
Dearest, darling.
Yeah, and then it ends with them going in. Fran does a skip of them looking at a menu to order food while the song is playing over. I think the song suits it so well. You know, this whole thing in the song is, you know, I won't be home anymore. That's the line. And that playing over the wife, I remember seeing that originally and being like, oh, that is just so cool. But the whole thing with the pigeons that leads into another episode is they finally have they can never find Git. So they finally have a funeral for him. And there's this really great moment where Dano has to... that no one will buy the certain pigeons. Only the important ones. And all the other ones that your man did love and care for, he can't do anything with them. So he has to break all their necks. And I can't remember what it's over. I don't know if it's over a Johnny Cash song or something. But it's a really fucking upsetting scene. Even though he's an asshole. Dano's a very unlikable character. It's a very sad scene to see him just break.
It's not just sad though, because
he breaks down himself.
He does break down himself, but you can see like there's almost anger as he's like breaking their necks and stuff.
Oh, it turns to anger. Yeah. They have an ultra gory version where he just sees like him tearing like a pigeon's head,
biting the head off.
But yeah, like fucking Ozzy Osbourne and the bat. It sets like even a lot of the other characters didn't show up, like Lizzie, who's a character with Darren, who's related to the Irish Breaking Bad twins of this series, comes into it. She's a huge part of the show. But, like, man, there's so many good things throughout the series of season 3 that, like, again, tie back into this first episode. Like, I think, again, maybe it's something that, I don't know, I'll see what people like, if people like this episode, but maybe it's something that we could do, that we talk about the rest of season 3. Down the line, but there's very much an indication that the Git character had previously raped people, which I always found like an interesting little note by what was his name in it?
Tommy, is it?
Tony.
Tony,
so. Yeah. The Sean McGinley character. Yeah, Tony says, like, was there a problem at what he calls the brothel, the knocking shop? Was there a problem at the knocking shop with one of the girls?
And yeah, it's implied
so
that
he makes that assumption already.
That has happened before.
He's done this before. And he's been in jail the majority of his life on fundraising activities for the IRA that didn't get... Fundraising being robbing banks, not, you know, auctions, you know, fun runs and shit like that, you know.
Seeing as it's the 404 Films podcast, the camera angles,
we did talk about a game last time, just throwing it out there.
But I love the the different camera angles that they use. So one of them is when they're trying to decide for breakfast, and it's looking down on the three of them.
Mm.
But obviously, I think we've talked about it. The opening scene of it looking up at the three of them, trying to decide.
We recreated the opening scene on a Paddy's Day, actually.
Yeah.
Surprisingly. I actually forgot that it was on a Paddy's Day.
You'd shaved your head at the time.
Yeah, I'd shaved my head for my dissertation film. Up on the channel right now, if anyone wants to go watch that. But I shaved my head, and I shaved it to like a 2. And then I remember I got distracted one night when I was... Because the shoot went on for so long that I needed to clean it up, to tighten it up. And I had it on a 0 to clean up the edges. And I got distracted talking to somebody on the 0. And I fucking went and just did a fucking train track through my head. So I was like, all right, I gotta go full nidge on this, you know what I mean? So I had to shave myself like completely bald.
That was like we both went to like a birthday party or something just before Paddy's Day, and we're seeing your your big bald head.
My bald head, yeah, it was quite like, because it was, I think people had seen me with like the 2, which is like, wow, that's different. But this is just like, no, this is Kojak, you know what I mean? And while we were at yours for Paddy's Day, it just we were like, you know what, we were all drunk at the time, but it was like, let's do the opening scene while because I'm never going to be this bald again. I've been bald before, but never that bald. So like, while we can, let's use this to its full advantage. And we recreated the scene where they just walk in over him, and the lines. It was terribly done though. God, it was terrible.
I think that was down to the cameraman. Sure, we'll go there.
Yeah, no, it was Andrew. Andrew, who was on the podcast.
Didn't know we were going to sell him on the river, but yeah,
fucking
Andrew, terrible cameraman.
Hadn't seen the well, no, he's made us stuff, so I can't discredit him. But he didn't know the show at the time, so I was like, okay, lie down on the floor with your phone and point the camera to the ceiling. And of course he didn't. He pointed it at this mad, weird fucking angle. So
we were in shot the entire time.
But look,
there's no walking into shot. We started in shot. Yeah.
If I had my way, I would have had the entire episode recreated.
Maybe someday.
You know? I'll try to splice in as many quotes from this, but maybe I don't know, on one of the social media platforms or fucking YouTube, just create my own series of quotes. I think there is a video on YouTube though for anyone who's interested. Somebody made like 100 love hate quotes, like 100 best love hate quotes or something.
A top 10 with your man Darren Conway, I think, as well.
Yeah, on RT Player. I didn't watch it, but I saw a clip today.
I think I've seen some clip from it at some point.
It's interesting. I'll watch it eventually. That's everything from us then. You can follow 404 Films on Instagram at 404 Films. You can follow me at Instagram at Karl_director. You can follow Glen on Instagram.
Yeah, go on. Glen _insta_ art.
I'm sure there'll be a post relating to this in some way. Yeah. But yeah, I guess there's nothing else to say, but and happy St. Patrick's Day to you, Gareth.
You fucker, I was going to say that.
That's how I started the episode.
I was going to end it with that. You know? Like, I knew. And then you started with that.
I used it twice now, man. Twice. Thanks for listening, everybody.
And a happy St. Patrick's Day to you, Guard.
Yeah, no, I'm cutting it out, man. I'm cutting it out. Go on, just scream another quote before it goes.
Yeah, bleeding.